There's a particular heaviness that settles in when we've been thinking too long. You know this feeling, don't you? It's the weight that accumulates behind your eyes after hours of scrolling, analyzing, worrying. The kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. We've become a generation that lives primarily in our heads. We think our way through heartbreak, anxiety through to-do lists, and stress through endless mental loops. We've convinced ourselves that if we just think harder, feel less, analyze more, somehow the knots in our chest will untangle themselves. But what if I told you that your body has been waiting patiently this whole time? Waiting with an ancient wisdom that your mind has forgotten. Waiting with a medicine so simple, so accessible, that we've overlooked it completely. What if the answer isn't in your head at all? We live in an era of unprecedented mental stillness, and it's killing us softly. Not the peaceful kind of stillness, the trapped kind. The kind where our bodies have become nothing more than vehicles for our anxious minds. Think about your typical day. You wake up and within minutes you're scrolling. Your body is still, but your mind is racing through notifications, news, comparisons. You sit at your desk, shoulders slowly climbing toward your ears as stress accumulates like sediment. You eat lunch while reading emails. You collapse on the couch at night, body exhausted from doing nothing, mind wired from doing everything. This is the invisible problem of our time. We've disconnected from the very vessel that carries our consciousness through this world. We've treated our bodies like inconvenient machines that occasionally need fuel and sleep, rather than the wise, feeling, healing systems they are. The statistics are staggering, but they're not just numbers. They're the quiet desperation of millions. Nearly 20% of us are walking around with diagnosable anxiety or depression, but even more telling is the vast majority who don't meet diagnostic criteria but still wake up each day feeling heavy, overwhelmed, stuck in their own skin. We've forgotten something essential. Our bodies are not just carrying our problems, they might be carrying our solutions too. Every emotion lives somewhere in your flesh. Every thought sends signals through your nervous system. Every moment of stress or joy is felt first in your bones, your breath, your beating heart. But we've been taught to ignore these signals, to push through, to think our way out of what we're feeling our way through. What would happen if we listened instead? Look around you. Really look. Notice how we move through the world now. Shoulders curved inward, protecting hearts that feel too exposed. Necks craned forward, chasing screens that promise connection, but deliver isolation. Hands that once knew how to climb trees and skip stones now know only the repetitive motion of scrolling, typing, reaching for things that never quite satisfy. We've created a world that asks our bodies to do less and less, while asking our minds to do more and more. We celebrate productivity over presence, efficiency over embodiment. We've built cities where walking is inconvenient, jobs where sitting is mandatory, and entertainment that requires nothing from us but passive consumption. Our ancestors' bodies were instruments of survival, creation, expression. They ran from danger and toward joy. They worked with their hands, felt the seasons in their bones, moved in rhythm with the natural world around them. Their bodies told stories of long walks, hard work, spontaneous dance, the kind of tiredness that comes from a day well lived. What stories do our bodies tell now? They tell stories of static compression, of shallow breathing, of muscles that have forgotten their purpose and joints that have forgotten their range. They tell stories of nervous systems stuck in chronic low-level alert, never quite able to discharge the stress of modern living because there's nowhere for it to go. We treat gyms like medicine cabinets, going when we're broken, avoiding when we're fine. We've turned movement into punishment for eating, exercise into penance for living. We've made our bodies the enemy of our desires instead of the ally of our dreams, and so we sit and think and worry and analyze and sit some more. But your body is keeping score. Every unexpressed emotion, every unfinished stress cycle, every moment you chose your head over your heart, it's all there, waiting in your tissues, your breath, your posture. Your body remembers every time you needed to run but sat still instead. Every time you needed to cry but stayed composed. Every time you needed to move but chose to think your way through instead. The external world has convinced us that stillness equals productivity, that sitting equals success, that thinking equals solving. But what if this equation is backwards? What if the very thing we've been conditioned to avoid, physical movement, embodied presence, the wisdom of our flesh, is exactly what we need to find our way back to ourselves? Your body has been trying to tell you something. Have you been listening? But the deepest pain isn't just about what the world has done to our bodies. It's about what we've done to ourselves, the internal exile from our own physical experience. When did you stop trusting your body? Was it the first time someone commented on how you looked? The first time you felt awkward in your own skin? The first time you learned that thinking was rewarded but feeling was messy, inconvenient, too much? We've learned to live as heads floating through space, occasionally annoyed by the body that carries us. We've mastered the art of ignoring hunger, cues, exhaustion signals, the subtle communications our nervous system sends us every moment of every day. We've taught ourselves to override intuition with analysis, to replace gut feelings with Google searches. The cruelest part is how we've turned against ourselves. We look in mirrors and see only flaws. We feel our hearts racing with anxiety and tell them to stop instead of asking what they're trying to say. We experience the tightness in our chest, the knot in our stomach, the tension in our shoulders, and we medicate, ignore, or criticize instead of listen. This disconnection isn't just sad, it's dangerous. Because when we're not in our bodies, we're not really alive. We're existing, surviving, getting through, but we're not truly inhabiting the miracle of being human. Your body holds every memory, not just in your mind, but in your muscles. The way you learned to hold your breath when you were scared. The way your shoulders learned to carry everyone else's problems. The way your jaw learned to clench around words you couldn't say. The way your heart learned to guard itself behind ribs that forgot how to expand with joy. And in our disconnection, we've lost access to our body's profound wisdom. We've forgotten that our bodies know things our minds haven't figured out yet. They know when someone is safe before we consciously recognize it. They know when we need rest before we check our calendars. They know when we need to move before we understand why. But perhaps the deepest loss is this. We've forgotten that our bodies are not just vessels for our consciousness. They are our consciousness. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every moment of awareness you experience happens in and through your physical form. There is no separation. There never was. The anxiety you feel, it lives in your nervous system. The depression that visits, it settles in your posture, your breath, your energy. The joy you crave, it wants to move through you, express itself in your walk, your laughter, your spontaneous desire to dance in your kitchen. We've been looking for healing in all the wrong places, in our thoughts, our analysis, our understanding. But what if healing isn't something you think your way into? What if it's something you move your way through? What if coming home to yourself isn't a mental journey but a physical one? Here's what changes everything. Your body is not broken. It's not lazy. It's not the enemy. It's been waiting for you to remember a truth so fundamental that we've forgotten it completely. Movement is medicine. Not the kind you take reluctantly, but the kind that awakens something ancient and essential within you. When you move your body, really move it, with intention and presence, something magical happens in your brain. Your nervous system, which has been stuck in chronic stress mode, finally gets the signal it's been waiting for. It thinks, we're handling this. We're doing something about whatever we've been worrying about. Science calls it BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. But you can call it hope made biochemical. When you move, your brain literally grows new neural pathways. It's like your consciousness is rewiring itself for resilience, creating new roads between thoughts and feelings, new possibilities for how you experience being alive. But it's not just about brain chemistry. It's about remembering who you are beneath all the noise. When you move your body, you access a different kind of intelligence. Not the analytical, problem-solving kind, but the intuitive, embodied wisdom that knows things without having to think them through. Movement changes your relationship with difficult emotions. Instead of trying to think your way out of anxiety, you can literally shake it off. Instead of analyzing your depression, you can walk alongside it until it transforms into something else. Instead of drowning in overwhelm, you can dance with it until it becomes flow. This isn't about becoming an athlete or transforming your body into something else. This is about coming home to the body you already have. About remembering that you are not a mind trapped in flesh, but consciousness expressing itself through form. Your body has been your companion through every moment of your life. It has breathed for you while you slept, healed your wounds while you worried about other things, carried you through heartbreak and celebration with equal devotion. It has never abandoned you, even when you've abandoned it. What if it's time to come back? What if the path to mental wellness isn't through more thinking, more analysis, more sitting with your problems, but through movement, through embodiment, through remembering that you are beautifully, perfectly, wonderfully physical? I'm not talking about punishment disguised as self-care. I'm not talking about forcing your body into submission or training away your emotional pain. I'm not talking about the kind of exercise that feels like penance for the crime of being human. I'm talking about the kind of movement that feels like coming alive. The kind that makes you remember you have a body, not just to carry you through life, but to experience joy through. Movement that doesn't subtract from who you are, but adds to it. Movement that doesn't fight against your nature, but expresses it. This is about finding your way back to the kind of movement that children do naturally, spontaneous, joyful, unself-conscious. The kind of movement that happens when nobody's watching and nobody's judging. When it's just you and your body, having a conversation about what feels good, what feels alive, what feels like home. Maybe it's walking with no destination in mind. Maybe it's dancing badly to good music. Maybe it's stretching like a cat in morning sunlight. Maybe it's swimming and feeling held by water. Maybe it's the simple act of taking deeper breaths and feeling your ribcage expand with possibility. The magic isn't in the specific movement. The magic is in the remembering. Remembering that you are not separate from your body. You are your body. And your body knows how to heal, how to joy, how to be present in ways your mind is still learning. So what would happen if you treated movement like medicine for your soul? What would change if you moved not to fix yourself, but to remember yourself? Imagine waking up tomorrow and, instead of immediately reaching for your phone, you stretched, your arms above your head, and felt grateful for the night of rest your body gifted you. Imagine noticing the first signs of stress and, instead of pushing through, you took a walk around the block and let your nervous system discharge what it needed to release. Picture yourself moving through anxiety not by thinking your way out of it, but by literally moving through it, letting your body process what your mind has been trying to solve. Feel what it would be like to express overwhelm through movement instead of suppressing it through stillness. This is what becomes possible when you remember that healing isn't just cognitive, it's somatic. It happens in your tissues, your breath, your posture. It happens when you give your body permission to feel, to express, to discharge, to celebrate. I want you to imagine what your mental health could look like if movement became as natural as breathing. If instead of carrying stress in your shoulders, you shook it out. If instead of holding anxiety in your chest, you expanded it through dance. If instead of sinking into depression, you walked with it until it transformed. Because here's what's beautiful about your body. It doesn't hold grudges. It doesn't matter how long you've ignored it, criticized it, or treated it like an inconvenience. The moment you return to it with curiosity and kindness, it welcomes you home. The moment you start moving with intention and joy, it begins healing. What you didn't even know was broken. Your body has been waiting so patiently for you to remember that wellness isn't something you achieve, it's something you embody. Mental health isn't something you think your way into, it's something you feel your way through. And the most beautiful part? You don't have to be perfect at this. You don't have to become someone new. You just have to remember who you already are beneath all the noise, all the sitting, all the disconnection. You are a being designed for movement, created for joy, built for resilience. Every step you take is a conversation with gravity. Every breath you deepen is a negotiation with anxiety. Every time you choose to move instead of ruminate, you're voting for embodiment over exile, presence over analysis, feeling over thinking. This is your invitation back to yourself. Not the self you think you should be, but the self you are when you're moving freely, breathing deeply, taking up space unapologetically. The self that exists not just in your mind, but in your muscles, your bones, your beating heart. Your body has been your most faithful companion. It has carried every version of you, the child who ran without thinking, the teenager who felt everything too intensely, the adult who forgot how to play. It has been with you through every heartbreak, every celebration, every ordinary Tuesday, when nothing special happened but you were still beautifully, miraculously alive. What if today you said thank you? What if today you moved not because you had to, but because you get to? What if today you remembered that you are not a passenger in your body, but its co-creator in this dance of being human? The path back to yourself is not traveled by thinking. It's walked, danced, stretched, breathed. It's felt in your muscles and known in your bones. Your body remembers what your mind has forgotten, that you are already whole, already perfect, already enough. You just need to move like you believe it. So here you are at the intersection of knowing and being. You can continue living from the neck up, or you can remember that you have a whole body waiting to support you, to heal you, to bring you home to yourself. This isn't about tomorrow. This isn't about when you have time, or when you feel motivated, or when you figure out the perfect routine. This is about right now. This is about the next choice you make. Will you honor the wisdom your body has been trying to share with you? Will you move not to fix yourself, but to remember yourself? The choice is yours. Your body is waiting. If this resonated with something deep in your bones, if you felt your body stirring with recognition, share this with someone who needs to remember they are more than their thoughts. And if you're ready to explore more ways back to yourself, through movement, through embodiment, through the gentle return to wholeness, there are more conversations waiting for you here. Your body has been trying to tell you something. Are you ready to listen?